and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is me, Dukect, and I am back live here Wednesday evening here on the Dukect Lounge. A little bit minutes late, but it's all the same. It's all good. Hope you're all good this evening. I'm feeling great. You know, we just had the Joker trailer. That was pretty good. I like that. It looks like it's just basically the Joker just going, the dude looks like the guy who will eventually become a Joker. Seems like it looks like it's just going to be the absolute worst. So yeah, it's gonna look good. I can't wait to see that. But speaking of DC films, I recently just saw Shazam. And I gotta say, wow, what a movie. Even though the budget looks like it is reasonably made. It's about 80 to 100 million and such. So I think it's going to be, and heck, it looks like it's going to close 50 million this weekend, this open weekend. I saw a free screening of it. And it looks like it's going to gross 3.3 million from Fandango advanced screenings, higher than the one made by Aquaman. Which, by the way, Aquaman opened up, the box office opened up. I believe that domestically they did a really good job. Seriously. It was, but then again, it was around Christmas. And by the way, I keep saying this on other podcasts, and I keep saying this again. It looked like this movie, Shazam, was filmed at Christmas time, and it looked pretty much was filmed around Christmas time. I feel that movie was supposed to come out in that type of I think that movie it looked so much to be like a Christmas movie, that childhood movie. I honestly think that would have been a better pick to put Shazam out first, then have Aquaman have this big, huge type of like adventure type thing. Because I honestly think that this that's what it feels like. Because this was pretty much set at Christmas time. This movie was set during the Christmas time, and it just feels weird. It feels just so weird to have that. To have Aquaman, this like spring/summer movie in December, but in this Shazam and such. So I think it's going to be a $50 million. Hey, that's pretty good for us. Pretty good. It will make its money back, so it's not really, I think it's not going to be the worst box office. Worst would have been like 10 or 20. This is actually pretty good, and I think it's going to be something a lot of people were worried about, how it's going to be, how this is. I mean, a lot of people were worried about this as, DC Universe has had a bit of a rough start. Even though I enjoyed the movies, I like Man of Steel, I like Batman v Superman. I said that they rushed it, and Wonder Woman, I think people got that. Justice League, that was just hackneyed and such like that. Everything just looked like it was really just screwed up from the get-go from that, from the president and such, who just like he was gonna get his bonus, made his bonus like I don't know what happened. It just they had to recut the scenes and everything because they didn't like the two direction the movie was going. I honestly think they should have kept the Zack Snyder tone, but now it looks like they moved on from Justice League. They are going towards less connective. But I would not be surprised if people say the DCU is dead in the form what Zack Snyder was going to. I think the form with Zack Snyder's DCEU, that's dead. I don't think the DCU as a whole is dead. I don't think they're going to stop making connected movies. I don't think we're not going to see any more Justice League or anything else. I think you're going to have a standalone movies for a while. And if there is fan reaction, I think there is, you won't see a Superman or Batman movie, a later Batman movie and such like that with Ben Affleck or whatever. It seems that at this point, they are going to I would not be surprised if they are going to do another Justice League movie in like 2, maybe 3 years from now. It will be announced. Probably around 2021. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again, and people would have a lot more positive stuff as a different type of stuff. Maybe not just as Justice League, but maybe as a Justice League Unlimited. Boom, there you go. You have all these different characters. You know, not just Batman, Superman, Aquaman, all the stuff, but also you have these other characters as well, and they can, you know, form that type of stuff, which I think that would be really interesting. That would be something really good and really interesting. I think that, you know, I think that would be much more of an interesting take. That's just me. But anyway, the movie Shazam, and I'm going to be as non-spoiler whatsoever. I will not talk about the spoiler, will not spoil, because I know there's some people who want to go see this movie. I will give you one of my best, the overall appeal of it. Like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was fantastic. A bit better than Aquaman, and honestly, I think this was better. This was a better Captain Marvel movie than Captain Marvel. And the reason why is because everything in that movie. How many writers did it have? I need to look and see how many writers. It basically had 2 writers, and it seemed like they were on point. Let's see, Henry Gayden and Darian Lemke. He has actually been a writer for many things. He also was a screenwriter. He also wrote. Let's see, he was director of Lost, which was a movie in 2004. Shrek Forever After. Jack the Giant Slayer, which was decent and fun. Turbo, which honestly people say that was actually pretty good. Goosebumps, and Goosebumps 2 Halloween. The Parts You Lose, and then Shazam. So he knows about children's movies and such like that. So, and I honestly, this stuff, I think the way they did this was actually the plots and the consistency of the arcs and the villain really felt together, and they actually really did show so much love to it. And and honestly, and the best thing I love about this movie is that they show so much love and care to everybody in the whole Captain Marvel / Shazam log about how they the lore and everything else. That part was, to me, really was beautiful. How they really basically have so much love towards. I mean, the main villains of the movie is not just Dr. Sivana, who was pretty much a mad scientist, whatever, but he was the other villains of the movie that give him the powers and such are the seven deadly sins: pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. And these are, well, again, much, very part of the lore of Shazam. Also, I want to say that the character of Billy Batson, who honestly was especially the dude played who played Billy Batson, really did a good job here. This was, to me, Aster Angel really did a good job here. He formerly did, I believe, let's see, Andy Mack. I think that's a Disney Channel show. He was in Criminal Minds and such. But yeah, this kid did a really good job. I believed he was in that type of, I believed he was really did believe that this was someone like Billy Batson in a modern take and selling, because the old stuff, which thank you to DC Universe, I've read some of the old Shazam comic books. Billy Batson stuff, I mean, it'd be really awkward to have like an 8 or like 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe this version is 15, but he was like 13 or 14-year-old, like going to the news station and such and doing the show, which is just weird. I don't know why they can. I don't know what they can do that, I don't know what they are going to That'd be really awkward. I mean, I just don't think it's good. You know, I was like, no, just it's just weird. Maybe he can do his own version of a podcast on his own in the sequel, which I believe this will be. But I think that's something I don't think they've moved on from. But also Jack, the guy who plays Freddie Freeman, Jack Dylan Grazer, he did a really good job playing that of Freddie Freeman. His the adopted sibling and such. Seriously, they show so much love to these characters, and everyone played a great role. Heck, the person who played Mark Strong, who played the villain here, seriously did one heck of a job too. And I miss, man, this dude really did play that type of play. He can play a really good villain, and he has. I mean, remember he did play a villain in Sherlock Holmes. Seriously, even though people didn't like the villain and stuff like that, he does a pretty good job playing the villain. It reminded me, let's see, the dude who played Sherlock Holmes, Blackwood. I remember Lord Henry Blackwood. He played a really intimidating villain there, and I don't know, I wouldn't say that he, had a little bit of that role. I think he grew a bit. This dude really, I'm like, wow, this guy really does a great job playing the villain as well. Zachary Levi, wow, this dude who has he played Chuck from Chuck and such. He's that TV show that a lot of people loved from of that show. He also was in I believe he was also he played Tangled as well. He's also he played Tangled. He was also in Alvin Chick Bunch the Squeakquel. He was in Thor: The Dark World and Thor: Ragnarok. Oh yeah, he was Fandel. So again, he was doing that stuff too. I heard rumors that one day these days maybe John Cena was gonna play this character. That's rumors, but but yeah, I honestly thought that would have been really interesting, but gosh, I really wish that would have been, because I think he really funny enough, they had, according to Wikipedia, the casting process was examining other characters for the film. It's back in 2014. They wanted to do a de-aging the actor using special effects and CGI. He would both cast a child actor and an adult actor for the main character. The people who was Zachary Levi, John Cena, Zane Holt, Jake McDunn, Derek Taylor, and Billy Magnuson for the role for Shazam. I still think, like I said, I think John Cena would have been a really good, because again, people they doubt his skills. I think in this movie, look, Zachary Levi does a great job. I think Cena would have been a little bit better. Maybe just my pro wrestling stuff and how wacky Cena can be. I think it would have been I think that would have been, and not to shade on Zachary Levi. Zachary Levi did one hell of a job here. He does. This is great. You really believe that he is this irresponsible 15-year-old? Pretty much this is big as a superhero movie. Big as in the story Big, from Tom Hanks in back in the 80s. This was basically what Shazam should have been, and it is basically Big with superpowers, and they got it, and I love that. I love this, and again, the characters, the love, and there's so much more I can get into, but yet there is so much stuff here, and I can't wait. I really can't wait to see what they're gonna do with the sequel. I hope they will. I really do. And this was a really good movie. I hope it's successful. I hope it makes $1 billion. If not, hopefully it makes its money back and more, and everything else. So kudos to this movie. I hope it does well, and just people, I'm gonna go see it again. this weekend. It just seems like this is a fun and exciting movie, and definitely going to be for the rewatch as well. So that's my review of Shazam. But the show is not over yet, ladies and gentlemen, as we will come back. And when I do come back, we are going to be talking about that BioWare. Who doesn't? BioWare, EA's, interesting game. Anthem. And I would love to see, talk about how, maybe Anthem is saving itself and such, but unlike the DCEU, unlike the DCEU, which looks like it's making that pivot and becoming good, if not great, and such, EA and Bioware are going down, especially Bioware, are going down a dark and dangerous path that will, as Jim Sterling calls EA, Chronic Arts. Yes. As it looks like it will devour another big, another of a great, studio, and then swallow it whole. And then after that, let's just say, let's get ready in 2020 and 2021. Get us ready for Mass Effect on your phone and microtransactions on the ready. Just be ready for it, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to talk about that later. So sit back, relax. We'll be right back right after this, here live on the show, live on the Dukect Lounge. As always, thank you so much for watching, listening, and all that good stuff. We'll be right back right after this.
Yo, we're the Zone Runners, and this time we're at Pumpkin Hill. You ain't ready.
I ain't gonna let it get to me. I'm just gonna creep down in Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear. Probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory, but a ghost tried to approach me and got leery.
Asked him a question and he vanished in a second. I'm walking through valleys, crying pumpkins in the alleys. It didn't seem happy, but they sure tried to get me. Had to back him up with the fist, metal crackling. I'm hearing someone saying, use a chicken, don't be scared. It had to be the wind, cause nobody wasn't there. I searched and I searched as I climbed up the wall, and then I started to fly, I went in deeper.
Let it get to me, I'm just gonna creep down in Pumpkin Hill, I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's it, I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. Gonna hold my head, cause I got nothing to fear. Probably seems crazy, brave theory. A ghost tried to approach me and got leery.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. How are y'all doing this evening? And remember, boys and girls, if you want to connect to me, Dukect, you can easily do it in a couple of ways. One, you can just call me, Dukect. It's 605-564-0444. Once again, the number is 605-562-0444. And the show ID to connect to me, Dukect, is 92417. Once again, the show ID is 92417. Now, you can just use the internet, and hopefully you are listening to us via the internet, because honestly, I don't have, the sway or the power to put this on the airwaves yet. You can just connect the internet. We have a headpiece on. You have your mic on. You can sit and talk to me, Dukect, right there on there. And if you're too shy, you don't know what you're doing, all that type of stuff, you got the chat room. The good old-fashioned chat room here, live here, right there to chat. That's awesome. Always have a chat room on lock so you can sit, talk to me, do every little thing. Make sure you can come in, relax your mind, do all the stuff that you want to come into as the Dukect Lounge. You can talk to me, Dukect, what your thoughts are, what's up, and everything else in between. So, with that being said, let's talk a little about this thing here. Now, I was sitting here around, I was just going to talk about Shazam, and that would be it. Nothing, that would pretty much be it. But I got something on my Twitter machine. Yes, I'm keeping this up because, for my old man, an old friend of mine, let's see, man, just, really awesome dude who made that. Tony, this dude just, he's always awesome. Need to reconnect him more awesome. But, yeah, he, very awesome dude. Live streamer, very awesome and interesting person. Go check him out. But, anyway, let's go and talk about something over my Twitter. I was sitting around and looking at stuff, and also some of this really cool YouTuber, Race Vic. He does really in-depth videos about, about video games and everything else there. And, I mean, yeah, but yeah, he made a very interesting tweet about this stuff. And let me see if I can find it. It's somewhere here. Let me just see. It's a tweet about how pretty much, I mean, this was just amazing about how I was like, no way. This is not true. This can't be true. And I started looking this up. Let me see if I can find this tweet. I got the website there. I'm just going to try to find this. Let's see. We'll find out. Okay. Here it is. Let's see right here. And I quote, BioWare had programmers with Frostbite experience, so EA shifted them to FIFA. I was like, what? And I looked down. He gave someone the article, and here he is. And right now we have some stuff here about how BioWare, Anthem, and how everything else started. And heck, it started. You know how bad this whole thing started? It wasn't even supposed to be called Anthem. Yes, so if you look through the whole article, and I read the whole thing, because hey, that's what I do. It's like it wasn't even supposed to be called Anthem. Just days before the annual E3 convention in June 2017, when the storage studio BioWare would reveal its newest game, the plan had to go with a different title, Beyond. They even print out Beyond t-shirts for the staff, and then less than a week later, a press conference held by BioWare's parent company, they said, we couldn't really secure the trademark. So, yeah, we can't do a Beyond trademark and such. But, then again, we have backup Anthem. Yeah, so this game did not have a good start here. And, it was not really a good start. And this article goes into the, it was first teased in mid-2012. Years floundering in pre-production. The features weren't finalized or implemented until the very final months. Where did I hear this story before? Oh, wait, I heard this on Mass Effect Andromeda. Goodness gracious, what is wrong with you, EA? What is this? What is EA doing? And it just, and it gets into it. It was a story of indecision and mismanagement, and it's a story of technical failings. As this is from the article, and links will be in the description. The video podcast will be right there, and such. It's by the way, it says how BioWare's Anthem went wrong. If you want to look this up, but in the video podcast on YouTube, you will see the link in the description. It says right here, As the EA's Frostbite engine continued to make life miserable for many BioWare developers, an understaffed development department struggled to serve its team needs. It's Frostbite again. It just I don't know what is this, EA? Why are you just putting Frostbite engine on things that didn't need or want Frostbite? It doesn't work if you have. It only works if you're a first-person shooter or a racer. That's it. That's sports title and a first-person shooters. That's it. You gotta know your limitations. You know. Clint. That's what Dirty Harry once said. A man's got to know his limitations. Yeah, they don't know their limitations. That's why this whole Frostbite engine stuff, man. They don't get it. And it's worse because during this studio, and this is talk to people who are they're basically granted anonymity because they aren't authorized to talk about Anthem's development. Here it is that there were people who just left BioWare for 2 years. They talk about the reason why they left. They had to take stress leave or doctor mandated period of weeks or even months worth of vacation for their mental health. One former BioWare developer told me they would frequently find a private room in the office, shut the door, and just cry. People were so angry and sad all the time, they said another. And another said depression and anxiety are an epidemic within BioWare. Well, it says another quote, I actually cannot count the amount of stress casualties we had on Mass Effect Andromeda or Anthem. And a stress casualty at BioWare means someone has such a mental breakdown from the stress, they are just gone for 1 to 3 months. Ooh. Of course this is. Of course all this stuff is, man. And here, this stuff, it continues to grow. This stuff here. And there's so much crunch as well, which of course there is. And they say we don't have the official. Oh, we don't have crunch. Like, okay, yeah, they don't. And like, okay, fine. If it works, it can. When you finish the last parts of the game, you want to have the nice, to make sure everything is nice before it ships. Make sure all the bugs are out. I'll be fine. But more often than not, the bugs are so bad. Especially Anthem, their load times are even longer than Sonic 06. And that's a feat that I didn't think was possible. But the stuff under the loot system, all the other bugs in this game, heck, remember when the bugs in the game was so much that it pretty much can mess up your PS4 or Xbox One? What? This is the stuff I didn't think it was possible to have your software destroy your own hardware. Oh gosh! I mean, software is supposed to sell your hardware, not have it, not have software destroy your hardware. That doesn't make any sense. This is why I like going to old school games and such, man. I don't like buying the new stuff. I don't. That's why if there is any new stuff, I'm gonna sit and wait till all the DLC and everything else. In fact, when I get the next Spider-Man game, Spider-Man on the PS4. I'm waiting till all the DLC and everything else. I'm waiting until all the DLC is done and we can just I want to make sure that all the DLC is done and I can buy all of it right there in the front package of a Game of the Year edition. It's a lot less stress, and hopefully a majority of the bugs are cleaned out. And some would say, what about the bugs you have? Yeah, the old games have bugs. All games have bugs. But the thing is, majority, it's not, the bugs don't define these games. And sadly, Mass Effect, no matter how many times they fixed it, even after all these things happen, the bugs are defining the game. Same as Anthem. You can fix them, but it's still, you can never make a second first impression. these are things that are going to have to stop. And not only that, when the team is so beaten down to the point that all these things just add up, the way the Mass Effect trilogy ended. The way Mass Effect trilogy ended out. You see what happened with Dragon Age 2. You see that all these things started to line up. That the developers are getting working harder and harder, and the games come out buggier and more broken. And by the way, it just the whole thing looked so, I honestly, it looked when you look at the early stuff, it looked more interesting, like more, like they said here, like earlier this Javelins are less Iron Man, more NASA, like more of a walking sim, like more of like, okay, this is a planet that you have to survive with this mech suit, and maybe that would have been more interesting, but and these things, you just look at what this whole game could have been. I just it pisses me off that Anthem could have been something really good. And here's the thing, they showed teasers that was Anthem back in 2014 about the prototypes, and it's not even close to it. And it was an online multiplayer game, but it wasn't always a loot shooter, the kind of game and stuff like that. The idea of you embark from a city and go on expeditions with your friends, staying out in the world as long as you can survive. You use a robot exosuit, you fight monsters with melee and shooting attacks, but the focus was less on hoarding loot and more seeing how long you could survive. One mission this is again from the article, says might take your squad to the center of a volcano where you have to figure out why it was erupting, kill some creatures, and then fight your way back. Going in, that seems to be a really cool idea. Instead of just being this looter shooter that just says, oh, I just here to get loot. There's actually, you go in to missions and like an MMO, and you're like, hey, something's going wrong. We need to fix it. That sort of thing. Something like that, and what's going on, how to do it, that thing's, they're talking about this, and one developer says, we're going in as a team. We're going to try to accomplish something as a team. Then come back and talk about it. Along the way, you can scavenge or salvage alien ships for parts and bring them back to your base in order to upgrade your weapons or enhance your suit. That seems really cool. We didn't get that. We didn't get that at all, and that's a shame. That sort of thing. But, and they already lost their leader, I think in 2014, they lost their leader, Casey Hudson, who directed who directed Mass Effect trilogy, he wanted to move on to other stuff, then he came back, and, well, yeah, his and the Barrel of Veterans like to try casting Hudson's Mass Effect team as the Enterprise from Star Trek. They all did what they had been said, and they were all laser focused on a single destination. And by comparison, they called Dragon Age team the pirate ship, meandering from port to port until it reaches final destination. Now the Enterprise is no longer had its Jean-Luc Picard. And it keeps going on. Dragon Age and Christian, they said still members of the Anthem teams are happy. Dragon Age and Christian shipped at the end of 2014 to critical acclaim, and many of those developers moved on to Anthem, where they found a team full of high hopes and ambitious ideas. And he says everybody saw there was so much potential in those early prototypes. Potential was always the word there. Potential. They always heard that word potential until it just, potential is only good if it's acted upon, And this is anything. One Bioware who hadn't yet moved to Anthem can recall hearing those cars talk about how much better they had it than the people who were stuck on Mass Effect Andromeda. Rashawn was going through some serious struggles thanks to technical challenges and significant directional changes. Certainly they thought that couldn't happen to Anthem, and they were wrong. So wrong. This is quote, "We took so much time to get the experience correct. I think that's why morale was so high. I knew we had taken time to really redefine what we wanted the game to be about. Now we just go and produce it." Yep. It says, how did you do it? And then it says the mandate was Anthem's world will be massive and seamless. But how would you get around? The team played around prototypes, exploring different ways you execute the world, climbing sides and mountains and ledges, but they couldn't get it quite right. Earlier iteration of flying, which developers say was removed and re-added to Anthem several times, were more like gliding, and members of the Anthem team said it was tough to get the system feeling all that fun. Every time that they changed the travel it meant changing the world design accordingly, flattening, stretching the terrain to accommodate the latest movement style. There were experiences with potential encounters with dynamic creatures, environmental hazards, random the world, but yeah, this says, but those weren't working too smoothly either. That took a long time. The game was super reliant on this procedural system that just wasn't fun. And let's see. And in 2015, veteran Dragon Age writer David Gallo moved over to Anthem. His version of the story looked a lot different than ideas when experimenting. He says, big, complicated villains, alien artifacts, and so on. And they're saying they wanted more subtle, but yet there it is, bland. They wanted... It's just one quote says from another developer says, there was a lot of resistance from the team who just didn't want to see a sci-fi Dragon Age, I guess. And added and another developer said, hey, a lot of people were like, why are we telling the same story? Let's do something different. But yet, that sadly did not came. It just, and he left in early BioWare 2016, even though he really wanted to push him. That's wanted to do something Dragon Age, but he said, as time passed, I didn't feel keen to play the game that I was working on I believe this was one developer. It says, at times past, I didn't feel keen to play the game I was working on. He told the interviewer, which led to new writers for Anthem and a total story reboot. This led even more chaos. As you can imagine, writing for BioWare sets the foundation for all games. When writing is unsure what it's doing, it causes a lot of destruction and left the departments. And it keeps going about how the backstage stuff was just so much drama, so much stuff here. And he says right here, one of them, it says, one form of BioWare is the root, the cause of all of the lack of vision. He says, what are we making? Please tell us. The recurrent theme was there was no vision. There was no clarity. There was no single director saying this is how it works together. They never seemed to settle on anything. And this anonymous person says they were always looking for something more, something new. I think most people on that team felt like we didn't know exactly what the game was or what it's supposed to be, so it kept changing so much. Yeah, this, and it just keeps going on like that, and it goes on, and it just seems to me that the problem is that they just didn't know what the game wanted to be, and that was the main issue, is that they didn't really have anything, so they just made it, and then their time continued to grow. Like, screw it, that's it. We need to do something else. We need to just do the generic stuff and hope for the best. And then, here's another time here, but after all this stuff was going around, throughout 2015 to 16, they didn't know, they weren't really accomplishing much. They were just still doing the plot phases and everything else. They talked, one idea was talking about multiple cities, then it turned to one city, player created outposts, then it turned to one city, a mobile strider base, then it turned to a single fort, and then everything else, and they were still trying to create the core parts of the IP and such. They said for BioWare developers, they didn't know what they're saying, crafting material like Ember, how technology worked, that sort of thing. The whole back end architecture and everything wasn't figured out yet. And then meanwhile, the BioWare studio leadership had to focus most of its attention on the Mass Effect Andromeda, a game that was like pretty much causing headaches for the article says just about anyone who was rapidly approaching release date was set in stone. Put another way, Anthem might have started to look like it was on fire, but Andromeda was already nearly burnt to the ground. And I pre-ordered that game. Oh Lord, what was the dumbest decision I ever did. That was the dumbest decision I have ever done. I had faith. I wanted hope. I had hope, and it burned me, and I feel dumb. But I did it. I beat the whole game, and I hated it. I hate that game, and I probably would have hated Anthem too. It is the word that there were a lot of plans, but says there were a lot of plans to the developer. Where by the time they were implemented, it was a year later and the game had evolved. This expression of life can be summed up in one word, and that word is frostbite. It says, well, I love this description of frostbite here. It says, frostbite is full of razor blades. It's like full of razor blades. Exactly. It's like, and they did not like this. They did not like the Frostbite as a game engine that pretty much is a first person and shooter, like first person shooters, and like I said, racing games and sports games. They can do that, but it's just, it's mad. Yeah, it basically caused trouble for anyone on that team. Anyone on the development team was Frostbite. It is so frustrating to work that. Other than, heck, they said many of the issues that Veltec were granted in previous engines, save and load system, third-person camera, it did not exist in Frostbite. They had to build the thing from scratch. And Mass Effect Andromeda, they had to build everything from scratch. And then maybe after, nope, they had to build, and yep, and of course, he says, well, maybe this will be the third time the charm if you have, there won't be any issues with Anthem, right? Wrong. Using Frostbite to build an online-only action game with BioWare had never done before led to a host of new problems with BioWare designers, artists, and programmers. Frostbite is like an in-house engine with all the problems that entails. It's poorly documented, hacked together, and so on, with all the problems of an externally sourced engines, said one former BioWare employee. Nobody you actually work with designed it, so you don't know why this thing works the way it does, and why this is named the way it is. But yeah, it was, the engine allowed them to build big, beautiful levels, but it just wasn't equipped for the tools to support all these ambitious prototypes they created. Slowly and gradually, they start cutting back the environmental survival features they devised on Anthem, and because it didn't work. It says, and here's one thing, it says, quote, part of the trouble was you could do enough in the engine to hack it to show it was what was possible, but then to get the investment behind it to get it actually done took a lot longer. In some cases, you run into a brick wall, said a BioWare developer. Then you realize, oh my God, we can do this only if we reinvent the wheel, which is going to take too long. It was sometimes difficult to know when to cut and run. Yeah, this is once again, here's the problem with Frostbite. They say the problems here was making the job more difficult. Building new iterations of levels and mechanics will be challenging due to sluggish tools, while bugs that should take a few minutes to squash might create days of back and forth conversations. If it takes you a week to make a little bug fix, it discourages people from fixing bugs, said one person who worked on Anthem. If you can hack around it, you can hack around it, as opposed to fixing it properly. I would say the biggest problem I have with Frostbite is how many steps you need to do something basic. With another engine, I could do something myself, maybe with a designer. Here it's a complicated thing. Another developer says it's hard enough to make a game. It's really hard to make a game where you have to fight your own tool set all the time, and it keeps going on and on. It just, once again, EA and the system Frostbite takes down another one, and not only that, but they had Crunch and all these other stuff, all this drama, and here it is, and it's here's something interesting here. But here's the quote. I often felt the Anthem team was like they were understaffed according to that developer and such, and others that worked on the game, but many of whom told me their team was a fraction of the size of the developers behind similar games like Destiny and The Division. There was a number of reasons for this. One was that in 2016, FIFA games had to move to Frostbite. The annual soccer franchise was EA's most important series, bringing in a large chunk of the publisher's revenue. And BioWare had programs with Frostbite experience, so Electronic Arts shifted them to FIFA. A lot of really talented engineers were actually working on FIFA when they should have been working on Anthem. And said one person on the project. It was also the fact BioWare's main office was located in Edmonton, a place where winters could dip to minus 20 or even minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which staff say they always had made it difficult to recruit veterans from more habitable cities. One has to wonder how many programmers heard about Frostbite's razor blades and decided to shy away. Of course they did. But yeah, again, this is, it keeps going on like this, and it is a shame because there's so many good ideas that this game could have been. No one wanted to talk. This could have been something really good and really exciting. But once again, Anthem and all the other stuff here there should have been something better, and it's sad. It's really sad how Anthem could have been great, but the story doesn't work, everything doesn't work, and EA couldn't, and the article keeps going over, but man, it's just, it just, it just seems that EA Anthem never really got to the point that it just really the backstage stuff about Frostbite and everything else, they just, once again, I look back at this, I'm like, what is going on? What is going on with EA? What is going on with these companies? You have to look at one point that EA does not know how to. I don't know what it is. It's just, the more I read this article, the more it looks like it's about to be that time when Electronic Arts starts opening its mouth and maw on the next planet. No, don't scratch that. It's not Unicron. It's Beast Planet. It is the Beast Planet and such, when they're about to open its maw up, and from War Planets, and then swallow another developer whole. That's what this thing is. EA is about to open its gob and swallow another planet whole of developers and IPs. And I'm just tired. I'm tired of just, and I want EA to get better. I want BioWare to get better. I want the games to get better because I love video games. I love these things. But if EA ain't gonna get better, and heck, when these studios keep crumbling, I just sit back and be like, you know what? I'm like that old Usher. I'm like, let it burn. Let it burn. Like the Usher song. Let it burn. Just let it burn. Burn. Burn it down, baby. Burn it down. So, yeah. That's, honestly, you know what? I'm going to call it a show right now. Before I go into more of a rage and such, because this stuff continues so bad. The EA and all the other bad stuff here, Anthem, and it just, what a lot of people just look, again, Anthem, again, this whole game, so I knew this was going to be bad, but I didn't know it was going to be this bad. and I'm happy I didn't pay any money for it. And you know how sad it is? Apex Legends is for free, and it does a better job than Anthem ever could. I think that's just, to me, the most biggest sad and pathetic thing here. But that's just me. Anyway, that's what I'm going to say about that. Dukect here. Peace and love. We'll see y'all when I see y'all later.